Aquarius, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast for March 7th through the 13th of 2016. I'm Athen, and this is for Sidereal. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link because the signs are different. All right, Aquarius, so this week we've got a solar eclipse Tuesday and Wednesday, a total solar eclipse, making it quite powerful. Now, this is always the time of the year with the eclipses, a time of, in this case, releasing old energies in order to make way for new energies. This solar eclipse is going to be associated with the South Node, which is about that releasing. And it's through that releasing, it builds the foundation. We gain that spiritual liberation, that freedom, which then propels us into that life path much more healthfully. So in this sense, we've got all of this energy in your first house right now. Happy birthday for those of you who are who have your birthdays this week. But there's this, strong energy on self, and there's been a lot of nebulousness around this, perhaps with the sun going over Neptune, uncertainty, doubt, maybe about the future, unfoldments and that sort of stuff. But now there's this new transformation, this new occurrence, which is happening so that you can have more spiritual freedom in your life. And this is specifically relating to any perspectives, any unhealthy perspectives around yourself or around your goals or around the things that are important to you in life. So it's suggesting that with the South Node, there might be some over-under extremes with this particular area. And it's about being aware of that, not necessarily rationally, but in the inner sense, in the spiritual sense, and being aware of the self in that way. And it's through that we're then able to accept these aspects of self. And it's through that acceptance that we find that spiritual liberation. So this is all about, who you are, where you're going, what does the future unfold for you personally. And even though it's a very nebulous thing, it's about accessing that, going within and really seeing where you can have a healthy sense of self that is, I think, rooted in the spiritual perspective, okay, which is rooted in the fact that we are, of course, so much more than any particular label or concept. So whatever this is for you, I think it's great to reflect around this solar eclipse. It's going to be very powerful for all Aquarians. It's also going to be right on the cusp between Aquarius and Pisces. So in terms of the Pisces energy, also reflecting on, too, your values in life and your sense of self-worth, your self-reliance, maybe the material or financial aspects of life, which, again, it's suggesting that there might need to be some balance here regarding any over-under extreme perspectives. And the balance comes through accepting and really being grateful for what you have in your life, especially on the material side of things, and also, again, being grateful for who you are, in that spiritual sense. So with that foundation, it then provides that for you to move into this life path to have a much healthier perspective on, in this case, relationships. Relationships is going to be the major theme for the next 2 years, if it hasn't already been, with Jupiter here. But now with your life path, where you can consciously align with this, meet new people, form existing relationships further, have that, especially with Jupiter, that insight and that optimistic, lighthearted view of Leo, in your interests. Relationships is a big interest for you Aquarians, to do that and to move into that direction. And I think through that, you can actually find a lot of the, not only insights, but you find a lot of support along the life journey. You consciously have a sense of purpose, and that's essentially what the North Node is all about. So that's the axis point, and it's going to be, like I said, very powerful in that sense. And, it's really pulling on the self side of it. So going within, meditating on self, on the goals in the spiritual sense without rationally identifying it and allowing any unhealthy energies to go. Now, with this leading into it, Monday, we do have the sun sextiling up to Pluto, which is coming off the previous weekend. So there could be some, in this sense, a willingness to change perhaps, or maybe seeing things in a new light, seeing things in a new perspective. And this might be with change that's happening or had happened over the weekend involving your groups or organizations you're a part of or your ideals in some sense. But whatever it is, there's an opening here to sort of be willing to change. And that's a very good foundation to this solar eclipse. Probably change self. Now, also approaching that, the sun is going to be opposing up to Jupiter, really emphasizing the fact that this whole eclipse point is all about balance. We can't have healthy relationships if we don't have a healthy sense of identity, even if that identity is more on the, again, spiritual unknown sense. and vice versa. We can't have strong identity without good, solid foundations, relationships in life. So that's a good way of merging with this, because Pluto is a very abundant. We can be perhaps optimistic, although I don't think it's going to be too much the case because Jupiter's retrograde. A lot of the relationship stuff still going through reworking, rehashing, relearning. But still, seeing that balance and integrating the two, I think is very important, whether you're feeling the over extreme of it, under extreme, or whatever. Now, with this solar eclipse and directly after it, we do have some sign changes. We've got the sun leaving your sign going into Pisces. So your focus and attention, I think, will slowly shift more towards your values in life, the things that are important to you on the material level, and your self-reliance, taking care of the earthly side of things. So that's a good area of focus for about the next month or so, and a good area of energy and prana as well. Now later in the week, as we approach the weekend around Thursday and Friday, the sun does go over Chiron, suggesting this new healing that is taking place involving that self-reliance, involving the material or financial stuff that might have that wound around it or insecurity. So the sun helps you illuminate that and see that so that you can do that healing. And that again helps and supports these life path shifts. Now also midweek, Venus is going into your sign, so you guys could be feeling good, looking good. You're coming out of that more spiritual time, which was, all those planets in your 12th. So now there's a lot more of that momentum, I think, especially with Venus in your first, in terms of maybe sprucing up your appearance, connecting with relationships and friends, and spending more energy with your relationships. I think can all be quite enjoyable. Maybe even just enjoying the sensual pleasures of life, such as the good meal and stuff. Now Mars is also shifting, is going into Scorpio midweek into your 10th house. So while things have been grounded and responsible and perhaps long-term with your career or your legacy or your productive life, Mars coming in here is now very driven, very direct. In fact, you could have a lot of energy right now with Mars at the top of your chart, a lot of momentum. And this could be at the work or career stuff you're doing. And I think that's a good area of motivation for you for quite some time. Mars is going to go retrograde, but at least for the next few weeks, I believe. I can't remember exactly, but at least for this week and next week, you do have this drive and motivation here for sure. Now, Thursday and Friday, along with that sun conjoining up to Chiron, we do have Mercury going over Neptune. Now, with this one, this is more of that perhaps uncertainty, but it's not like the sun energy like earlier last week. This is, again, the more willing you are to go with the flow, to have faith and trust, specifically with who you are, where you're headed, it can actually make this quite peaceful. The mind can have this more intuitive approach to it. So the more open you are to going with the flow, to having, the divine process work its way out in life, then this can actually be a very tranquil time period. In fact, you can gain a lot of intuitive insight about the self and about the goals and where you're headed and that sort of stuff here towards the weekend. Now, a very nice aspect approaching the weekend is Jupiter trining up to Pluto. In fact, Pluto is very well aspected this week, making this very supportive. So it's all about change. Pluto in a harmonious aspect is that it's through situations in life, it's through experiences that we then want to change or we can change. So it might be from a lot of this, eclipsing energy, but whatever it is, by the weekend, I think you will have this willingness to change. There's a lot of support for you to do that. It might be, again, on the group or friendship level or with your ideals, but probably more so in terms of your relationships. Good positive change there that could really assist that part of the chart for you. Now, the last aspect of the week has the sun going over the south node in the second. So again, illuminating, helping you see what you really value in life, and that self-esteem, that self-efficacy, your ability to pursue the things that are important to you. And with that, you're aware more of the self in that regards, and allowing any over under extremes about, money or the financial side of things or your self-worth can be illuminated, which will then help you move into that life path of developing relationships much more healthfully. All right, Aquarius, so have an excellent week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next week. Taurus, welcome to your weekly Sidereal. Capricorns, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for March 7th.